We have 5 minutes, and this is the absolute truth. Along about last September, I got an email from Pete. He requesting that I allow him to make the program selections. And I thought, it's kind of unusual, but you know, it is Pete, and we've both been around a long time. I think I can trust him. So I wrote back and said yes. Within 30 minutes, I had another email that had all of the tunes he wanted in the order. This is back in September. We've had a while to plan for this. And with explicit instructions. You don't know Pete as well as I do, but as only he can say about how we are to limit our talking about him. He doesn't know that we're not going to talk much about him in this segment. We're just going to give him some things and send him on his way. But it may take every bit of 5 minutes. So one of the flutists found a stopwatch for me. And we are going to just set this up out here. And Pete's going to watch it to make sure we're in his time frame, because we don't want to mess anything up on his big night. So Pete, come on out here. It's not all about you, just most of it. Now first, Don Cavalli is going to hand me a box. And we're to keep within the 5-minute time frame. We're not even going to let you open it. Because there's much more to squeeze in 5 minutes. But I will tell you that we know you like downtown Wheaton and certain things about it, most of them having to do with calories. And we have a little something for you in here, that it happens to be 30 little somethings, and I'm not referencing dollars there. You know we wouldn't go that cheap on Pete. But I will, maybe in the second half we'll be able to talk about this, and Ken Goodman's going to bring me up another little thing here. This looks like your tuck shirt box that you usually have. That's because I took it out of the closet up there to put this in. Pete, I don't know if you know, he's meticulous about what he wears, and I could not make up a story this good. This is true. I'm going to say it before the planned presentation. We were up with Pete Wilson and myself, and we have this kind of routine. About 7:30, we're starting to get ready, and we're going over the stuff. And then, along about if it's 7:45 and we're not in our zoot suits yet, we start to getting panicked a little bit. So I had gotten all ready because I wanted to sneak over here a little early to make sure this was under the chair there. And I go in to tell Pete, you know, we do this to each other. 10 minutes, Mr. Friedman, and I'll be ready. And then all of a sudden, well, I can't say the word he said after but now Pete and we're pretty clean cats. I mean, I just don't hear that. I mean, I said something is wrong, so I quick looked out the window to see if the crowd was formulating over here. What are we going to do? Because, and this can only happen when you're having a big celebration, preferably the 30th, the cleaner did not put his tux pants in with the coat. This is the truth. I could not make this up. Pete, and so I go in and grab Pete Wilson. We have an emergency. We've got to find a pair of black pants. Pete runs down to his car. Some people saw him. I saw him going in the parking lot. He had his white kind of Dockers on. He's figuring out, he told me already what he was going to say to you had he needed to come out that way. But fortunately he didn't, because the tux people, I guess you're going to be changing cleaners. Won't be seeing this box next week. They had packed it with some other goodies that were still fortunately in his car. Now when you have a 30th, you know, we are big on anniversaries around here, but I'm the lucky one because my anniversary always is 2 years before Pete's. So I have a good long time to get things ready if I need to get him back. And my wife, Kathy, who can't be here tonight, as I was preparing this, she said to me 2 nights ago, if you've got 2 years to get it ready, why are you just now doing it? And she came up with a better idea. I was getting ready to go over to Ben Franklin to have this framed. She said, honey, look, don't frame that thing. Let's put it on a golden clipboard. And she quickly ran out to Ben Franklin. I didn't even have to go. And got the spray paint, she's very good at this type of thing. And she set all of this up. So Kathy sends her best through a lot that she did for this because she heard it over and over again. Pete, 2 years ago, you may or may not remember, stabbed me pretty good with this little 2-liner poem he wrote called, "Is Moss the Boss?" I never forgot that. I didn't get around to rethinking it until last weekend. But when I did, I came up with this. Are we over 5 minutes yet? You're probably going to want to hear it now. All right, we're really close. With all due respect to your 2-liner, or 2-liners that rhymed so beautifully 2 years ago, is Pete a treat? Is Pete a treat, you'd like to know? Relax and set a spell. Within these strains, with few refrains, the answer I will tell. He's our announcer, that is true, the one whose face you see. But he's much more, I'm sure you know. For that, we shout with glee. He doesn't just get up and speak and sound the latest blast. He speaks to us with human touch, a natural act of class. He's graced our stage for 30 years, and that's a good long time. But it's not all that long to us, because he's just in his prime. He started out in Joliet at WJOL. When there, we handpicked him for us. For how long? Who could tell? He met his wife, Karen Lehner. They wed in '84. Last time I checked, she said she'd be with him for many, many more. I met Pete when back in school, announcing for the Cats. I thought this guy a match for us, the entire Wheaton batch. That voice, that style, that way he moved. In Wheaton, he'd fare well. But little did I know back then it'd turn out quite this swell. Involved, connected, week to week, he seeks to make you know the ins, the outs, the sometimes changes of our little show. We like the colors of his ties and classy cummerbunds. I dare not change my clothing look. I'd clearly be outdone. We have a little gift from the flute section for you. That's just a little interruption. They just happened to have it, and it happened to be something, you know, I still have the basic black on. I thought about wearing it, but it's perfect Pete. It's from New Orleans or someplace they've been recently. If Pete slips up, most think it's for laughter and was planned. But you don't know what's impromptu, what's written by his hand. Can it be that we remember bits of classic shtick? It's such examples that, for me, make Pete a great sidekick. What is the title of that tune we think is Night and Day? With Pete, you could be swayed to think it's flipped the other way. If Cole Porter graced our stage, he'd surely be convinced that when Pete Friedmann changed a line, a winner would be cinched. In Osgood style, Pete writes some poems that tick and even talk. He always smiles when we bring up the syncopated clock. You have to attend all the concerts to get it. we honor our own Pete with clipboard in his hand. He's ours, all ours, and yes, we know we've got it grand. Through ups and downs in both our lives, it's never been a grind. For each of every 30 years in Pete, I have a find. As sidekick for conductor, I could never ask for more. You know, I'm sure, with all we do, he's never been a bore. We thank you, Pete, for 30 years, and as he said to me, please stay another 30, we could make some history. But back to why we started this, to see if Pete's a treat. To find this out, you just but ask to anyone he meets. Pete is a treat to all he meets, and people everywhere will say that when he meets and greets, there's happy in the air. He is one special guy, and we really are good friends. I would like just to say thanks again, Pete, and I'll hang around as long as you do, if you'll make the same pact to me. We usually do make that pact each year. Check on the next season. We appreciate all that you do, and I know it went over 5 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, I know I'll hear about it later. There's no, even if you have a poem written for you like that, you still got to follow the rules. Pete's by the books. I messed up, but I still love you, Pete, and we are so glad you're here. There is none better